Morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I can see that you are typically still sleeping, probably, Gabe. You got to speak up a little bit.
Sorry. It
so,
is early.
well, here Gabe is our team member in Toronto, Canada, and he's a web developer. And the interesting thing is that I am a web developer myself, but I have turned into a CEO. But really, I started my career as a web developer. I worked for a year as a software developer in Cincinnati, and then I started freelancing, and I considered myself a web developer. And then later on, it turned into everything marketing. So I'm interested in your journey, just a little bit, maybe a few minutes. Tell us how you got into this skill set.
Yeah, sure. So I actually started my journey in university. I actually was in university taking a mathematics program, but I eventually encountered a programming course that was part of my program, and discovered that I liked that a lot more than mathematics. So I started taking more and more courses in at my university until I decided I wanted a bit more of a college approach. So um, I ended up at a different college that was a little more hands-on, specifically for game programming. And from there, that's I finished that program, and I've since been interested in other areas of software development as well.
hmm And in terms of building websites, what have you taught that to yourself, or have you seen web development at school as well?
No, that's pretty much all self-taught. My program was almost exclusively game programming, with the exception, I suppose, during my years at school, I definitely was exposed to JavaScript and HTML.
hmm
Um, because one of my early years, we developed a quick web game.
hmm So what type of we're not trying to be super technical here, but I know that the question for customers is always, what software should I use? Even when they let another company build it, do I use WordPress or do I use something else? And what I have found, Gabe, is that as software developers, we like to custom code, but it requires a certain budget and a certain size of a team to make that happen, to be agile, to be efficient. At some point, I had to just give in and say, okay, we're going to do a lot with WordPress. And that turned out not to be the worst thing in the world. What are your thoughts on WordPress? I know here at Shanks, we have started using it a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I could definitely share that same sentiment before I started any. um, Someone suggesting I close the blinds behind them. All right, I'm gonna do that real quick.
Well, I am so glad John takes care of our John. Gabe is not a streamer, and
I'm
I
not,
can
unfortunately.
I can deem myself lucky that he agreed to doing this. So, oh, that's better. That's better.
That's a lot better. Yeah, I would imagine so. All right, thanks for the call
Yeah.
out. Yeah, so I was saying my my experience would sort of be similar to yours, where coming into web development, I was ready to do custom code. I was ready to do HTML. I was ready to do PHP. I was ready to create frameworks or whatever.
Mm,
But the reality of it is not everyone's equipped to do that, right? So I know with my first experience with WordPress, I started with a company called Inwit, and I dove. That was my first experience with WordPress, and I dove right in, and you quickly realize why it's a tool that's used so much.
Hmm.
Its main feature is speed, really.
Yeah.
You're able to get out of the gates very, very fast. Right? All those frameworks are already done for you. So it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. It's speed, and it's also you have these modules, these prefabricated plugins, we call them in the WordPress world, and they just let you give features to a website project within minutes, really, where otherwise you would spend, quite frankly, days, if not even weeks sometimes, to build that feature. And with WordPress, you can just plug it in, as it says.
Okay.
It comes with a few pitfalls if you use plugins that are not supported by professional developers, or that were side projects and then at some point they're no longer worked on. So you gotta take care of that a little bit. But of course, we know how to do that. And same with themes. WordPress has these themes where essentially you can have a fully developed website within minutes if you stick close to the theme, right?
Hmm.
So when it comes to the customization of WordPress, do you think that is easy for a layperson? And at what point should they probably consider working with professionals like us?
Yeah. As a software developer, it's always hard to visualize exactly what the I guess we'll say layman will know how to do. So yeah, part of me wants to say in theory, yeah, you could probably, assuming someone gives you a WordPress install, you could probably hop in there. The dashboard is fairly intuitive. You might not know what everything means and whatnot, but I think you can at least pop in a theme. You could probably figure out how to customize a theme. And we're also in an age where everyone has access to Google. There's a lot of information out there that you can easily find out, like, how do I build my first site? How do I There's tons of starter tutorials out there. So in that sense, yeah, you could probably get something going. But past that, I think experience is going to come a long way.
Hmm. Yeah, and then there is this site called WordPress.com, which is the commercialized version of WordPress, because WordPress is actually open source software, which means it is free to use. And the way the creator makes his money is that with support, with people telling them, hey, how do we use your software? And can you help us with this and that? Anyhow, WordPress.com is a company that took the open source software and commercialized it and made it a lot easier. So you can go and set up your domain name and install your WordPress, and they kind of do that for you. It's pre installed. Now, it does come with a few disadvantages. You don't have access to all the plugins that exist. There's a lot of features that are disabled. But I would say if you are an individual or even a small business who, for whatever reason, wants to do it themselves, I would probably go with WordPress.com, because it's just the reason there are limitations is because they make sure that you don't do anything that is not good for your website. Uh, Now, the real war, well, I shouldn't say real, but the other way of using WordPress is by navigating to WordPress.org, downloading the open source software package, and then installing that on a server, and then build everything from scratch, or build everything using themes that are professional themes you need to pay for. And then the other thing I will say is that one of the most important aspects of WordPress is to keep the plugins up to date. So if you have a fairly large site, you'll probably have 2 to 3 plugins to update every week, quite frankly. And that is important to do because it keeps the site fast and secure. And also, same goes with the WordPress core software. Um, do you have any experience? Well, if I know you have experience, but do you have any like crazy stories with plugin updates, Gabe?
Hmm.
What?
Unfortunately, I mean, I guess fortunately, no, I have not.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, I do have quite a few where people updated plugins that did have an update, but the rest of their site was not ready to be updated. And then you get that white page that shows up,
yep,
internal server error. So you certainly know that one, and that can have so many reasons. One of them would be WordPress plugin updates, but it could be so much. And in that case, someone like you needs to go in and figure out what's going on. Typically, that is where the layperson has really reached their limits, and they can't
yeah.
fix that.
That's what backup plugins are for. You gotta be able to revert to previous versions. Very important.
Yeah, that's a good point. Backing websites up is something that is just part of being smart and professional, and so many companies don't. So many individuals, and I should even say companies don't do it. But
Scarily
yeah,
enough, yeah.
yeah, as you can, as you know, Gabe, we do that. We do that often here. We have
Hmm.
automations that run the backups.
For sure.
So, hmm, we have about 2 minutes left before both of us need to be in another meeting.
Yep.
So, what do you, if I don't know, leave us with one piece of advice for new website owners? Whatever, it doesn't have to be WordPress related, whatever you think is the most important aspect.
Oh, the new website owners.
Or maybe they're even in the planning phase.
I mean, for someone who has no experience, ask for help. Getting one up yourself is not an easy process, especially when you're learning for the first time. And unless you're willing to spend that time, yeah, find someone who can help you or teach you for sure.
Mm-hmm. That
It's not,
is that's very
yeah.
good advice. Yeah, ask for help. There are a lot. There's in web development. There are so many people that are willing to help.
Hmm.
Coders are typically very willing to be collaborative and help each other out with bugs, as we call the problems in websites. So, yeah, that's a good one. All right. Well, we have to wrap this up. You see in the ticker here, or in the banner that's planted in shanks.club, that is a community where you can go and basically get a lot of tips and tricks, a lot of tutorials, a lot of knowledge from us on how you can slowly improve your brand, your marketing, and yeah, go check it out. It's $7 a month. You can cancel at any time, and that's definitely something that we do for you so that you can run your business while you are not there yet to afford working with a big agency. And with that said, we will be back with the Shanks show not tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. So probably Monday. And Andrea gives her greetings. She's very sorry she had to miss this Friday morning Shanks show, but she'll be back on Monday. All right, that's it for today. Have a great day and also a great weekend. Bye bye.